Shalom, shalom, Most High in Christ bless. Happy Sabbath to everyone. Today is March 30th, 2024. Passover is right around the corner. So this is the time that you want to get the unleavened items out of your house, eat it up quickly, minimize what you purchase to put in the refrigerator and put in your pantry and so forth. You got to get all that old leaven out. Passover is Monday. Monday night. Monday night, April 8th is the Passover. And the preparing of the lamb is during the daytime Monday. So that night, Monday night, starts Feast of Unleavened Bread. So come that time period, you want to have all your leavened items, anything that has yeast in it, you want to have that out of your house. But we give all glory and honor to our Father. We give all glory and honor to Christ our King. We give double honors to the bishops, to the deacons, to the captains, the officers, the soldiers, all of the brothers in their respective places. We say shalom and Most High in Christ bless to all the women in their respective places, from the mothers, to the wives, to the sisters, everyone in their respective place. As we always do, we're going to start off reading just the law. We do that for about 5 minutes, give or take. There's no commentary. We just simply read. And then following that, we get into the actual lesson of the day. So with no further ado, we're going to start reading the law. The laws. Ecclesiasticus chapter 39, verse 1. But he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High, and is occupied in the meditation thereof, will seek out the wisdom of all the ancient, and be occupied in prophecies. He will keep the sayings of the renowned men, and where subtle parables are, he will be there also. He will seek out the secrets of grave sentences, and be conversant in dark parables. He shall serve among great men, and appear before princes. He will travel through strange countries, for he hath tried the good and the evil among men.
To make tents, booths for Feast of Tabernacles. Leviticus 23 and 40. And ye shall take you on the first day the bowls of goodly trees. Leviticus 23 and 40. And ye shall take you on the first day the bowls of God. Oh, I'm sorry, I started at the beginning. Branches of palm trees, and the boughs of fig trees, and willows of the brook, and ye shall rejoice before the Lord your God 7 days.
Each man must give a half shekel annually. Exodus chapter 30 and verse 13. This they shall give, everyone that passeth among them that are numbered, half a shekel after the shekel of the sanctuary. A shekel is 20 gerahs, and half shekel shall be the offering of the Lord.
Courts must calculate to determine when a new month begins. Exodus chapter 20, verse 2. This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you.
To marry a wife by means of to afflict oneself in pride out before God in times of calamity. Numbers 10 and 9. No. And if you go to war in your land against the enemy that oppresseth you, then ye shall blow an alarm with the trumpets, and ye shall be remembered before the Lord your God, and ye shall be saved from your enemies.
To marry a wife by means of ketubah, written thing, and kedusha. Deuteronomy chapter 22 and verse 13. If any man take a wife and go in unto her and hate her, and give occasions of speech against her, and bring up an evil name upon her, and say, I took this woman, and when I came to her, I found her not a maid.
Not to marry a whore. Deuteronomy chapter 23, verse 18. Thou shalt not bring the hire of a whore or the price of a dog into the house of the Lord thy God for any vow. For even both these are abomination unto the Lord thy God.
Not to withhold food, clothing, or sexual relations from your wife. Exodus 21 and 10. If he take him another wife, her food, her raiment, and her duty of marriage shall he not diminish.
To have children with one's wife. Genesis chapter 1 and verse 28. And God blessed them, and God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth.
We'll start with 125 next time, Lord willing. 125 next time, Lord willing. All right. So today's topic, make sure you have your Bible, paper, pencil, and today's topic. If I forget thee, O Jerusalem, if I forget thee, O Jerusalem. Okay. Today we're going to talk about the Native Americans quite a little bit. So let's open up with, get it? We're going to go to 2 Ezra chapter 13. We're going to start at verse 40. And if you read for me, 2 Ezra chapter 13, we're going to start at verse 40. We're going to read verse 40 through 46. And if you read for me, please.
Okay. Say second answers.
Yeah, make sure you exert your voice.
Gotcha. Okay, chapter 20, verse 6.
It needs to be much louder than that.
Okay, gotcha. Did you say chapter 14, verse 6?
Chapter 13,
13, and verse 6.
verse 40. Chapter 13, verse 40.
Gotcha. This is the book of 2 Ezra, chapter 13, starting at verse 40. Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king, whom Salmaneser the king of Assyria led away captive. And he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land.
The they was talking about the northern kingdom, okay? The northern kingdom. Keep going.
But they took this counsel among themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country.
Because they were in captivity. And so now they come out of captivity, but they're not now in their homeland. So they're scattered a bit. So now they want to find a place. They want to find some land where they can start over. Keep going.
Where never mankind dwelt, that they might there keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land.
Go on.
And they entered into Euphrates by the narrow places. Sorry.
Read it.
And they entered into Euphrates by the narrow places of the river.
So this is where they entered. Let's take a look. Wrong thing. So here's the Euphrates River. Here we go. Here we go. Euphrates River. Should have typed it in.
Mm.
All right. So here it is. This river right here, it's going to drop. Here's the river. And this river drops into this peninsula, which is the Persian Gulf. So this river, here's the river, the Euphrates River. So here they were, because they were taken out of their homeland. The Syrians had captured them, and they came over here. And so over here, we get Iraq, Iran, and so forth. This is where they were. They asked the king at that time, hey, let us go. He agreed. They came down the river. They came this way in the Persian Gulf. They came out into the Arabian Sea. They came out into the Arabian Sea. They stayed along the course of Africa. They stayed along the course of Africa, came around Africa, and then crossed over into the Americas. All right. So keep I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna take this. I'm gonna go back to the scriptures.
Mhm.
Verse 44.
2 Ezra chapter 13 and verse 44. For the Most High then showed signs for them, and held still the flood till they were passed over.
Right. So the signs, meaning they're traveling, they're coming along, the waterways are at peace, and they're going along with the currents of the water and what have you. Keep going.
For through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And the same region is called Ashereth.
Ashereth. Right. So write that word down. Ashereth. Write that word down. And so according to the Jewish encyclopedia, so here's Ashereth. Now in the Bible, that Z is an S, but here is Ashereth. Can you read that, or can you see that?
Where you? Yeah, you got to bring in some.
Oh, you can't see it?
Not the end part. To your right.
Okay. Is that better?
No, I mean, it's too close to your right.
It won't do no better.
Yeah, I can't see it.
Can't see it. Still nothing? No, I read it. The name of the land beyond the great river, far away from the habitation of man, in which the 10 tribes of Israel will dwell, observing the laws of Moses unto the time of the restoration. According to 4th Esdras chapter 13, verse 45, Columbus identified America with this land. Columbus identified this land, or identified America with this land. Okay. And so the Jewish Encyclopedia is letting us know that this place right here, Osiris, is America. So we're reading about the Israelites who had left and came into the Americas. Verse 46.
This is the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 13, and verse 46. Then dwelt they there until the latter time.
Uh-huh.
And now, when they shall begin to come.
And did we read the part where it says where never mankind dwelt?
Yes.
Where was that at? I missed it.
Verse, yeah, I think it was 40, wasn't it?
Mm-mm. Keep reading.
Oh, 41, I'm sorry.
That's in verse 41?
Yeah, verse 41.
Ah, okay. So according to the Bible, this particular land, Osiris, according to the Bible, the Israelites, they're the first ones to dwell in this particular land. According to the Jewish Encyclopedia, Osiris is the same land as the Americas.
Right.
So the Americas, prior to the Israelites traveling there, no one had ever lived in the Americas. And this is this is like 750 BC. This is the 700s BC, 700s BC. Okay. All right. So now I want to go to this document right here. So this book, I encourage any and everybody to go to utilize this website. It's called archive.org, archive.org, archive.org. You're doing whatever kind of research you're doing. This website has a lot of old documents, current documents, old documents on just about any kind of subject or topic that you may be looking for. So here we have The History of the American Indians by James Adair. Okay. And this book is written, let's get the copyright, right here in 17, this, what's this, 50, that's a 50, 60, 70, 75, 1775 is when this is, 1775, okay? And so the history of American Indians, particularly those nations adjoining to the Mississippi, East and West Florida, Georgia, South, North Carolina, and Virginia, okay, containing an account of their origin, language, manners, religious and civil customs, laws, form of government, punishment, conduct in war, and domestic life, their habits, diet, agriculture, manufacturers, diseases, and method of cure, and other particulars sufficient to render it, okay? And so this guy, James Adair, he lived among the Native Americans for some 30 years. And basically, he was kind of functioning as a spy, if you will. He's documenting everything that, according to the lifestyle that he's observed. And then he shared that information with the British. Okay. And in the right here, the opening to the Honorable Colonel George Crangan, George Galliff, and Lachen McGillray. He says, gentlemen, to you, with the greatest propriety, the following sheets are addressed. Your distinguished abilities, your thorough acquaintance with the North American Indians' language, rights, and customs, your long application and service in the dangerous sphere of an Indian life, and your successful management of savage natives are well known over all the continent of America. You often complain how the public have been imposed upon either by fictitious and fabulous or very superficial and conjectural accounts of the Indian nations, and as often wished me to devote my leisure hours to the drawing up an Indian system, you can witness that what I now send into the world was composed more from a regard to your request than any forward desire of my own. The prospect of your patronage, your patron, inspired me to write, and it is no small pleasure and honor to me that such competent judges of the several particulars now presented to public view express themselves with so much appropriation of the contents, approbation of the contents. So he goes on, basically he's saying, thank you for giving me, this is a great honor to do this. Yeah, and I got some news to tell y'all. I'm finna hip y'all to who these people are. This is a great, so when he goes through the whole book, and you know, he details what's good about the land, you know, so on and so forth. Like, I mean, hey, just like when we read when Moses sent when John sent Caleb and to go and spy on the land, he came back and said, oh man, it's beautiful, this that. This is the same doggone thing. Same thing, just about. Okay. So let's go here. Contents, right? And this part is what I want to read aloud. A history of North American Indians, their customs and observations on their color, shape, temper, and dress. Observations on the origin and descent of the Indians, observations and arguments in proof of the American Indians being descended from the Jews. In proof of the American Indians being descended from the Jews. So then he lays out, he lays out these 23 arguments. Is it 23? Yes, he lays out these 23 arguments to paint the picture that these individuals, they are Israelites. Is where so beyond this, he's gonna make the argument. Now I'm gonna go here. Okay. Let's go here. Oh, getting there. Look for page 10. Here we come, right here. Right here. Okay. And Right here. Is this large enough for everybody? Is this large enough for you? A little bit? I'll make it a little bit bigger. Is that big? Is that better? All right. I'm starting right here. I'm starting right here.
Okay.
Okay. All the various nations of Indians seem to be of one descent. All the various nations, there's 500 nations.
Mhm.
He says, all the various nations of Indians seem to be of one descent. They call a buffalo in their various dialects by one and the same name, Yanasa. And there is a strong similarity of religious rites and of civil and marital customs among all the various American nations of Indians we have any knowledge of on the extensive continent, as will soon be shown. So he's going to continue to, how far did I want to go? All right. Let me go here. Okay. And so now I'm on page 12. And I'm going to start right here where it says, some have supposed, some have supposed. Okay. Some have supposed the Americans to be descended from the Chinese, but neither their religion, laws, customs, etc., agree in the least with those of the Chinese, which sufficiently proves they are not of that line, which sufficiently proves they are not of that line. So the Native Americans are not descendants of the Chinese.
That's right.
That's what the school teachers would tell us when we were in fourth grade, that, oh, you know, they came across,
They're Asian.
they're Asians, they came across the Bering Sea. Okay, he goes on. Besides, as our best ships now are almost half a year in failing to China or from thence to Europe, it is very unlikely that they should attempt such dangerous discoveries in early time with their supposed small vessels against rapid currents and in dark and sickly monsoons, especially as it is very probable they were acquainted with the use of the lodestone to direct their course. China is above 8,000 miles distant from the American continent, which is twice as far as across the Atlantic Ocean. So he's saying, ain't no way. He said, these people, they came across the Atlantic Ocean. They did not come across the Pacific. They did not come across the Pacific. That's what he's saying, right? China, read it again. China is above 8,000 miles distant from the American continent, which is twice as far as across the Atlantic Ocean. And we are not informed by any ancient writer of their maritime skills or so much as any inclination that way besides small coasting voyages. The winds blow likewise with little variation from east to west within the latitudes of 30 and odd north and south, and therefore they cannot drive them on the American coast, it lying directly contrary to such a course. He said it's impossible. Looking at, because in that time, right, in that day, he said, hey, we don't have any historical record from the people who frequently get on the waters. There's no record that would suggest that they came across the Pacific Ocean. They had to have come across the Atlantic Ocean, which lines up with what we read in Esdras. Okay, he goes on. Neither could persons sail to America from the north by the way of Tartary or ancient Scythia. Now, Scythia, this is Russia. That's Russia. I forget this one. This I think this is the Greeks, but don't hold me. This one I recall. This is Russian. That from its situation never was or can be a maritime power, and it is utterly impractical for any to come to America by sea from that quarter. Besides, the remaining traces of their religious ceremonies and civil and marital customs are quite opposite to the like vestiges of the old Scythians. He says, so even to say that they're Russians, he says it doesn't make sense when customs tend to stay with people over periods of time. The customs have changed from what we know of the Scythians and the way these people behave. It's not lining up, is what he's arguing. Okay. How far did I want to go with that? Okay. Oh, okay. I want to keep reading. Nor even the moderate northern climates is to be seen the least vestige of any ancient stately buildings or of any fixed settlements as are said to remain in the least healthy regions of Peru and Mexico. Several of the Indian nations assure us they crossed the Mississippi before they made their present northern settlements, which, connected with the former arguments, will sufficiently explode that weak opinion of the American Aborigines being lineal descended from the Tartars or ancient Scythians. So in other words, he said, look, so here we go, back to the Americas, because again, if we take the rationale that they came out the Euphrates, came down around Africa, and then crossed, right? And even if they crossed right here, they crossed the Atlantic Ocean, and they probably even came up, because right here would be the shortest distance to go there. That would get them, that would keep them the least amount of time out in the ocean. So he says, according to their own account, they recently crossed the Mississippi River. The Mississippi River is right here. It divides Missouri. So look at this dotted white line, boundary line, this dotted boundary line all the way down. This dotted all the way down right here into the Gulf of Mexico. This is the Mississippi River. So he says, I'm right here. Several of the Indian nations assure us they crossed the Mississippi before they made their present northern settlements, which connected with the former arguments. So he's saying they crossed this way before they went further north. So they came up from the south. They came from the south. All right. I'll show that one more time. So given this rationale, they came through, came on up, They would have came here, they would have crossed over the Mississippi River before coming on up into north, into like Montana, North Dakota, Oregon, and what have you. Okay. Uh-oh. Bear with me. Oh, yeah. Okay, here we go. All right. I'm right here now. It is very difficult. It is a very difficult thing to divest ourselves, not to say other persons of prejudice and favored opinion. And I expect to be censured by some for opposing commonly received sentiments, because there is an argument in this time period that James is writing. There are those who say, no, those Native Americans, they're Chinese. And so there's some prevailing arguments that exist in the time period that James is living. But James is saying, wait a minute, based on what I'm observing these last 30 years, no, it's not lining up. It's not lining up. Okay. Where am I at? Here we go. Right here. But truth is my object, and I hope to offer some things which, if they do not fully solve the problem, may lead the way and enable others professing stronger judgment, more learning, and more leisure to accomplish it. As I before suggested, where we have not the light of history or records to guide us through the dark maze of antiquity, we must endeavor to find it out by probable arguments, and in such subjects of inquiry where no material objections can be raised against probability. It is strongly conclusive of the truth and nearly gives the thing sought for. For the most exact observations I could make in a long time, I traded among the Indian Americans. I was forced to believe them lineally descended from the Israelites. I was forced to believe them lineal descended from the Israelites, either while they were a maritime power or soon after the general captivity. The latter, however, is the most probable. The latter, after the general captivity, which we just read about in Esdras. This descent I shall endeavor to prove from their religious rites, civil and marital customs, their marriages, funeral ceremonies, manners, language, traditions, and a variety of particulars, which will at the same time make the reader thoroughly acquainted. Make the reader, because who did he write this to? He's not writing this to the general population. He's writing to the upper echelon. He's writing to the upper echelon, which will make the reader thoroughly acquainted with nations of which it may be said to this day very little have been known. So another, he's arming them with how to deal with this people. Okay, what's page 14? All right. So now, next thing I want to talk about is the Trail of Tears. Write that down. Trail of Tears. Okay. Trail of Tears. Are you able to read for me? Can you see it?
Yeah.
You gotta read real loud for this microphone. Pick your voice up.
So
Yes, sir.
The Trail of Tears was the forced displacement of approximately 60,000 people of the 5 civilized tribes between 1830 and 1850 by the United States government.
So 60,000 people. 60,000 people displaced. Okay, go on.
As part of Indian removal, members of the Cherokee,
Muskogee,
City,
Muskogee,
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 Muskogee.
Yep. This right here, the Muskogee, this is right around SIUE. So this is Edwardsville, a little bit further east from Edwardsville. Slightly continue.
Seminole, Chickasaw, and Choctaw.
Uh-huh.
Nations were.
In the Seminole,
Did I say something?
this is Reuben right here. Seminole Indians, this is Reuben. This is Reuben. Okay, continue.
Removed from their ancestral homelands in the southern United States.
Southeastern United States.
Sorry, thank you. Southeastern United States to newly
The-
designated Indian territory west of the Mississippi River after the passage of the Indian Removal Act in 1830.
Mm.
The Cherokee removal in 1838 was the last forced removal east of the Mississippi and was brought on by the discovery of gold near
Dahlonega.
Dahlonega, Georgia in 1828, resulting in the Georgia Gold Rush. The relocated peoples suffered from exposure, diseases, and starvation while en route to their newly designed Indian.
Designated.
Thank you. Newly designated Indian Reserve. Thousands died from diseases before reaching their destination or shortly after. Some historians have classified the Trail of Tears as an example of the genocide of Native Americans. Others use the term ethnic cleansing.
Okay, now, write that word down, ethnic cleansing. Write that down. We'll come back to that. Ethnic cleansing, right? Others use the term ethnic cleansing. Okay. So now, let's do one. This right here, this treaty. So, and this was the instrument that was used. Write this down: Treaty of New Equata. This was the legal document to force the Native Americans off of their homeland into another territory. Okay. And did I get it? Right. No, where is it? I'm trying to see if I got it. All right. Let me read to you. I thought I had it. Shoot. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Yes. All right. All right. So you got it? You want me to read it?
I can read.
Okay.
The Treaty of New Equata, signed on December 29th, 1835, in New Equata, Georgia, was indeed a pivotal moment of Cherokee history.
Okay.
Let's delve into the keys details.
Okay, go on.
The treaty was signed by officials of the United States government and representatives of a minority Cherokee political faction known as the Treaty Party.
So only a small percentage, 80% of the Cherokees was like, no, we ain't going nowhere. 20% was okay, you know what? Let's not fight with this white man. Let's go ahead and relocate. So a minority caused all of this death and turmoil for a whole population of people. Keep going.
It aimed to establish terms for the Cherokee Nation to cede, okay, its territory in the southeast and relocate westward to the Indian Territory.
which is telling the Badlands of Oklahoma. Okay, go on. Badlands meaning is dirt.
Mhm.
Is dirt. So to get anything going, it's gonna take some time,
Some years.
right? Go on.
Background. By the late 1820s, the Cherokee Indian Nation territories primarily lay in northwestern Georgia, with smaller portions in Tennessee, Alabama, and North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Approximately 16,000 Cherokee people inhabited this land, while others had already immigrated westward to present day Texas and Arkansas. In 1826, the Georgia legislature requested President John Quincy Adams to negotiate a removal treaty. Adams, initially a supporter of tribal sovereignty, eventually engaged in negotiations.
So in all these white people are complicit. That's basically what we're trying to say. So for John Quincy Adams, who was supposed to be a supporter, no, every last one of them. Every last one of them, a strain from the womb. Correct. Read.
After gold was discovered in Georgia in late 1829, during the Georgia Gold Rush, white residents became even more determined to see the Cherokee removed.
They want the money.
Mm-hmm.
Get out. Get out.
Get them on.
President, you got to do something to have these people removed. Go on.
Forced removal. The treaty signed at New Ekata led to the forced removal of Cherokees from their southeastern homelands to the Indian Territory west of the Mississippi River.
Go on.
Although the treaty was not approved by the Cherokee National Council nor signed by Principal Chief John Ross, it was later amended and ratified in March 1836.
So they were not in favor of this. Like, no, we're not going. We stand right here. Go ahead.
This treaty became the legal basis for the tragic event known as the Trail of Tears.
This treaty became the legal basis for the tragic event. Go on.
During which thousands of Cherokee people were forcibly relocated, resulting in
immense suffering and loss.
Immense suffering and loss. Thank you.
Last sentence, read that.
In summary, the Treaty of New Ekata marked a critical juncture in Cherokee history, shaping their destiny and profoundly impacting their lives and land.
So this is the document, right? The New Ekata. This is the document that changed drastically, brought about dark days for Native Americans, especially they of Southeast United States. Okay. Right. And let's see, did I want to go here? Okay, so I want to show these images, the map of the Trail of Tears. Here we go. Okay, so everything is starting right here in Ekata. Let me pull that up. There we go. So the red dot, we're in the state of Georgia with the red dot. Here's highway, if you've traveled to Georgia, to Atlanta, here's Highway 75, which takes you into Atlanta. Okay, so this is up north. This is north. Okay, and so this is where we're talking about what's kind of starts the trail. So this was like a rallying spot, a starting rallying point. So let's get back to the map. Okay, so right here is where here's Calhoun, all right, and you can see all these brown openings. This is where, you know, this is where you would start. This is where all of this, you know, everyone is coming, and then boom, we get to the blue, pink, and yellow line. Is going to be one of the major paths that you were going to take. Okay. It's highly possible if you live in this region, St. Louis, Chicago, and you know that you have Native American ancestry, it is highly possible that your ancestors took this pink line, pink, orange, peach, whatever color that is to your eyes, took this particular path. Okay. Let me bear with me. Here we go. Yeah. Which, as you can see, oh, come on now. So this is moving northwest up through Tennessee, up through Kentucky, on into Anna, Illinois. Anna, Illinois is just south of is right there in close proximity to Carbondale, Illinois. So this is in close proximity to Carbondale, Illinois. So it makes sense, you know, right here in Anna. Again, if you know that you have been in this region for some time, that your family has been in this region for several generations, it makes sense. There's a highway, there's a path that your family probably came along. This, you know, they didn't continue the journey. They camped here. If there was someone that was too sick, well, we're gonna find out in just a minute. If you had a family member that was too sick to make the journey, that individual was forced to stay behind. And so because that individual was forced to stay behind, family members had to stay behind with that too frail of an individual to make the journey. Okay. And so it is possible that by the time they had because this is not on cars and this is not trains, you walking. This is walking, this is horse, this is carriage, you know, so this is how this journey is going. So this journey is taking several months at a time before we make it there to Oklahoma. So Anna, Hopkins, you know, these would have been spots where, you know what, I'm just gonna settle here. I'm gonna settle here. Okay. And so with that, you can see ultimately, these paths brought you into Oklahoma. The end result was Oklahoma. Okay, so let me show this other map. Okay, and so we can see again, we can see the starting points right here. Starting point in Alabama. Alabama, you're gonna right here, you're getting the Chickasaw, you're getting the Choctaw and Creek. So all of this, Georgia, mostly this northern part, this is where the Cherokee are. The southern part, which the map doesn't really show, over in here towards Florida, you're getting thank you. Seminole Indians, okay. So Choctaw, Creek, Chickasaw, okay. And you're taking these particular paths and you're landing right here. You're landing right here in Oklahoma. Okay. And then, so once you get over here in Oklahoma, you can see here is the boundary line of the most western boundary line of Missouri. Okay. And here is Arkansas. Here's the boundary line of Arkansas. And so you can see this is how they were carving out territory. Okay. So you had Chickasaw, Seminole, the Cherokee. You had some Cherokee up here. All of this is Indian land. All in Oklahoma. All this is Indian land. Okay. And as you see, some would continue to move up north, northern region, up here in Wisconsin. And this is Wisconsin and Minnesota, I believe, is over here, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. All right. Now, I want to show this. So this is orders number 25. Orders number 25. You want to write that down. Orders number 25. So I'm gonna read this because this is what the military men, this is what they followed. This gave them what to do. That's why it's called orders. Okay. And headquarters, Eastern Division, Cherokee Agency, Tennessee, May 17th, 1838. 1838. Okay. Major General Scott of the United States Army announces to the troops assembled and assembling in this country that with them, he has been charged by the president to cause the Cherokee Indians yet remaining in North Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee, and Alabama to remove to the west according to the terms of the Treaty of 1835. What was the Treaty of 1835? What was the Treaty of 1835?
I'm writing it down, but I had to.
What was the Treaty of 1835?
Treaty of 1835, huh?
Orders 25.
Nope.
1830, we just read, right?
What's the name of it?
Kill the Indians.
Ekata, the new Treaty of New Ekata. New Ekata. So Treaty of 1835, no, this orders is coming 3 years later. So what we're reading right now comes 3 years later. So here is the document to execute that treaty. This is the document to execute that treaty. Okay. His staff, I'm right here. His staff will be as follows: Lieutenant Colonel W.J. Worth, accounting, Adjutant General Chief of the Staff, Major M.M. Payne, Acting Inspector General, Lieutenants R. Anderson and E.D. Keys, regular aides de camp, Colonel A.H. Keenan and Lieutenant H.B. Shaw, volunteer aides to camp. Any order given orally or in writing by either of those officers in the name of Major General will be respected and obeyed as if given by himself. The chiefs of ordnance of the quartermaster's department and the commissariat, as also the medical director of this army, will, as soon as they can be ascertained, be announced in orders to carry out the general object with the greatest promptitude and certainty and with the least possible distress to the Indians. The country they are to evacuate is divided into 3 principal military districts under as many officers of high rank to command the troops serving therein, subject to the instructions of the Major General. So we're going to divide them up so that our military can properly manage all this great people. We're going to divide them up into three groups, and we're going to have the military such to watch over these folks. And he goes on. This right here where it says Eastern District, right here is where I'm at. Eastern District to be commanded by Brigadier General Eustace of the United States Army, or the highest officer in rank serving therein. North Carolina, the part of Tennessee lying north of Gilmer County, Georgia, and counties of Gilmer, Union, Lumpkin, and Georgia. Headquarters in the first instance, say at Fort Butler. Okay, he goes on. So with this, we're seeing who's over what. Okay, so Western District, Middle District, we're seeing who is to be over what. All right, let's go right here. Okay, it is not intended that the foregoing boundaries between the principal commanders shall be strictly observed, either when carried near the district to another. Will not hesitate to extend their operations according to the necessities of the case, but with all practicable harmony into the adjoining district and among his principal objects in case of actual or apprehended hostilities. So if there's any problem along the way and you need to extend beyond your boundary, don't you hesitate to extend beyond your boundary to take care of the problem. Do what's necessary to get them removed. Right? Where am I at? Right here. And among his principal objects in case of actual or apprehended hostilities will be that of affording adequate protection to our white people in and around the Cherokee country. I'll read it again. This is terrible. This is terrible. And among his principal objects of these men that are in charge, the men that are in charge, their principal object, protect the white people. The white people. Protect the white. Right. Right here. The senior officer actually present in each district will receive instructions from the Major General as to the time of commencing the removal, and everything that may occur interesting to the service in the district will be promptly reported to the same source. The Major General will endeavor to visit a short time all parts of the Cherokee country occupied by the troops. So the Major's going to come through to check it out, to examine, make sure it's all good, and then report back to the president. The duties devolved of the Army through the orders of the major general and those of the commanders of districts under him are of a highly important and critical nature. We got to get rid of these people, y'all. This is most important. The Cherokees, by the advances which they have made in Christianity and civilization, are by far the most interesting tribe of Indians in the territorial limits of the United States. We like these people, we really do, but they gotta go. They gotta go. We like them. They've made the most advances, but they gotta go. Of the 15,000 of those people who are now to be removed, and the time within which a voluntary immigration was stipulated will expire on the 23rd instant. It is understood that about 4/5 are opposed. It is understood that about 4/5 are opposed. You take 4 divided by 5, you get 80%. You get 80%. So 80% are not in favor of what's happening. 80% of the Native American, of Cherokees are like, no, leaving my home for what? Okay. Or have become averse to a distant immigration. And although none are in actual hostilities with the United States or threatening a resistance by arms, yet the troops will probably be obliged to cover the whole country they inhabit in order to make prisoners and to march or to transport the prisoners by families either to this place, to Ross Landing or Gutner's Landing, where they are to be finally delivered over to the superintendent of Cherokee immigration. So if we do have any combatants, if we do have any belligerent individuals, we will have some soldiers that will march those belligerents all the way there. Put them in a cage if you have to. Put shackles on them if you have to. If they're belligerent, right now they seem pretty docile. As long as they're docile, no problem. But the moment they start looking hostile, do what you need to do. Okay? Considering the number and temper of the mass to be removed, together with the extent and fastnesses of the country occupied, it will readily occur that simple indiscretions, acts, and harshness and cruelty on the part of our troops may lead, step by step, to delays, to impatience and exacerbation, and in the end to a general war and carnage, a result in the case of those particular Indians, utterly abhorrent by the generous sympathies of the whole American people. This is going to be a long journey, and should be that you get tired and become impatient of the belligerents. We understand you might whack somebody across the head. We understand you might do some damage to the Native Americans. We understand. Yeah, Trump said that. He said, why are you being nice? Put them in the car. Who cares if their head bangs on the hood? Did you catch that back when? Okay. Every possible kindness compatible with the necessity of removal. Every possible kindness compatible with the necessity of removal must therefore be shown by the troops. And if in the ranks a despicable individual should be found capable of inflicting a wanton injury or insult, on any Cherokee man, woman, or child, it is hereby made the special duty of the nearest good officer or man instantly to interpose and to seize and consign the guilty wretch to the severest penalty of the laws. So when you see John Wilkins starting to misbehave, someone step in and help him, because if he does any harm to one of the Native Americans, we will have to punish him, and we don't want to punish our own. So care for your brother, step in, let him go to the back of the line so he can have a moment to cool off from these savages. Oh, that word is used in the document. Savages. I read it somewhere. I forget if it was this document, but in preparing all of this today, that word is.
You read it a little before we got to this. It was somewhere.
I read the word savage. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. So here we go. The Major General is fully persuaded that this injunction will not be neglected by the brave men under his command, who cannot be otherwise than jealous of their own honor and that of their own country. You're doing this for your own country. You are getting rid of them so that you can acquire the land for yourself and your fellow countrymen. This is your duty. You want the land, don't you? It's the same thing we read in the book of Numbers. When we went in, because Numbers and Joshua is a book of conquest, right? So it's the same thing. We had to go in and conquer the land. So that which we did happened to us. That which we did happened to us because we failed to keep the commandments. Okay. Here we are. By early and preserving acts of kindness and humanity, it is impossible to doubt that the Indians may soon be induced to confide in the army, and instead of fleeing to mountains and forests, flock to us for food and clothing. So if we be gentle with them, guess what? Stockholm syndrome will kick in and they will love us. And we won't even have to fight with them. We'll be able to remove them with no harm. They'll love us. And they'll ask for food and clothing along this long journey. And we'll give it to them. And they'll love us all the more. That's what he's saying. Okay. If, however, if, however, through false apprehensions, individuals or a party here and there should seek to hide themselves, they must be pursued and invited to surrender, but not fired upon unless they should make a stand to resist. Even in such cases, mild remedies may sometimes better succeed than violence. And it cannot be doubted that if we get possession of the women and children first, or first capture the men, that in either case, the outstanding members of the same families will readily come in on the assurance of forgiveness and kind treatment. So if John Smith goes left field, capture Pocahontas and little boy Bird, capture them and use them for John Smith to change his mind and to come back and be peaceable and make this journey peaceably. That's what he's saying. Right. Every captured man, as well as all who surrendered themselves, must be disarmed with the assurance that their weapons will be carefully preserved and restored at, or I'm sorry, yeah, restored at or beyond the Mississippi. So once they cross the Mississippi River, once we get, we'll give you a weapon back. We'll give you a weapon back. Once you get over there, because you gotta hunt. You gotta hunt. Remember, this is a time period. There's no Schnooks and Save a Lot and Aldi's and what have you. So you gotta hunt. You gotta ward off the coyotes. You gotta ward off the bears. So when you get over there, we'll give you your firearm back, but not until. In either case, the men will be guarded and escorted, except it may be where their women and children are safely secured as hostages. But in general, families in our possession will not be separated unless it be to send men as runners to invite others to come in. So let's keep them together, keep them together. Keep them together. We want to break up families. It may happen that Indians will be found too sick, in the opinion of the nearest surgeon, to be removed to one of the depots indicated above. In every such case, one or more of the family or the friends of the sick person will be left in attendance with ample subsistence and remedies, and the remainder of the family removed by the troops. So this is the part where I was saying earlier that if a person was too sick, they couldn't travel. You want to say something?
How did they get sick?
Speak loud. Speak loud.
How did they? Because what I read back then, I'm thinking ahead. When they said they were going to give them the clothing, they're going to have to come to them for clothing and things like that, right?
Right.
So we know about smallpox, right? A lot of the natives died of that disease. And so it's really a trick. This is, they're trying to make themselves look good like they're helping, but at the same time, the whole goal is to get rid of them. Not even to take them to another part of the land, really to get rid of them. Because, go ahead.
The whole goal is to get rid of them. Now that's something to write down. What you just said is something worthy to write down. The whole goal is to get rid of them. Right? Correct. Write that down. The whole goal is to get rid of them. I'm glad you said that. Ethnic cleansing. The whole goal is to get rid of them. Okay. Did you have more that you want to say? You made your point.
Well, I was just gonna throw in the last thing I was gonna say is because it's like you tricking them to and befriending them just to kill them. So they won't put up a resistance. You do it so much easier. They gotta shoot you with a gun. You're gonna get your gun back, but you can go on this other side sick and die anyway.
Right.
That's they doing it right now.
Here we are. Infants. Infants, superannuated persons, lunatics, and women in a helpless condition will all, in the removal, require peculiar attention, which the brave and humane will seek to adapt to the necessities of several cases. All strong men, women, boys, and girls will be made to march under proper escorts. For the feeble Indian horses, and ponies will furnish a ready resource as well as for bedding and light cooking utensils, all of which as intimated in the treaty, right? So if you were a strong man, a strong woman, a strong boy, a strong girl, guess what? You walking. Walking? Yes, indeed. You walking. Okay, right here. Such and all other light articles of property, the Indians will be allowed to collect and to take with them, as also their slaves, who will be treated in like manner with the Indians themselves. If the horses and the slaves, in some cases, slaves were Negroes, and slaves were Negroes, okay? If the horses and ponies be not adequate to the above purposes, wagons must be supplied. Corn, oats, fodder, and other forage, also beef cattle belonging to the Indians to be removed, will be taken possession of by the proper departments of staff as wanted for regular consumption of the army, and certificates given to the owners. So your beef, because you got to imagine, the Native Americans, they own all of this land. When you own land, guess what you're not doing? You're not paying taxes. When you're not paying taxes, guess what? Your work, the work you do is for your survival. If I have berry trees and apple trees and nuts and so on and so forth growing on my land, then part of my survival is taken care of. I eat, I got squash and potatoes and all this stuff growing. I'm not working to pay. I'm not working. I don't owe anybody taxes, and everything is a game. So some folks with the owning of their land, they have a lot of cattle, right? Talking about Native Americans. So what we just read was the United States says this cattle, nah, it's going to supply the army to transport you off of your land, and we'll give you a certificate. So we will tell you what your cattle is worth. If we think that you think your cattle is worth $5. Well, we think it's worth $1.50. So if that, and we'll give you a certificate so that when you get to the Badlands, you have a certificate that you can use to start over. That's something, ain't it? That's terrible. That is terrible. Okay. Here we are right here. Specified in every case the amount of forage and weight of beef so taken in order that the owners may be paid for the same on their arrival at one of the depots mentioned above. Correct. So we're going to take your land. We're going to take your cattle. We're going to pay you for your cattle. We'll give you a certificate for your cattle, but we gonna tell you what it's worth.
So they still do that right now to this day.
Speak loud.
I said they still do that right now to this day. And y'all know what they call it, right?
Eminent domain.
Yeah, eminent domain. They call it.
Mm-hmm.
Back, I forgot where the brother and the sister was from, where they tried to take their land. they had farmland and tried to take their farmland. I forgot what area it's in. I don't remember if they took it or not, but it's crazy. Like, you don't own anything in this country. I don't care what you buy, what you drive, you do not own it.
Right,
You don't own it.
right. All other movable or personal property left or abandoned by the Indians will be collected by agents appointed for the purpose by the superintendent of Cherokee immigration under a system of accountability for the benefit of the Indian owners, which he will devise. The Army will give to those agents in their operations all reasonable countenance and aid and support. White men and widows, citizens of the United States who are or have been intermarried with Indians and thence commonly termed Indian countrymen, also such Indians as have been made denizens of particular states by special legislation, together with the families and property of all such persons, will not be molested or removed. Molested means robbed. This means robbed. Okay, molested or removed by the troops unto a decision on the principles involved can be obtained from the War Department. A like indulgence, but only for a limited time and until further orders is extended to the families and property of certain chiefs and headmen of the two great Indian parties. On the subject, immigration now understood to be absent in the direction of Washington on the business of their respective parties. All right. So this is the actual order. This order is number 25. This was the actual order to execute the treaty. To execute the treaty. Okay. Now, write this down. Did the Cherokee get a seat in Congress in 1835? Did the Cherokee get a seat in Congress in 1835? Cherokee. Did the Cherokee get a seat in Congress in 1835? Let's look at this article right here from National Geographic. Okay. And so look at this image. You got you got blacks, Native Americans, right? These folks walking, and this is a long journey and walk, right? This is the Trail of Tears. This is the Trail of Tears. Okay. Ratified in 1835, the Treaty of New Ecota led to the forced removal of Cherokee people from their ancestral lands to Indian territory in the West, a migration known as the Trail of Tears. All right. In 1835, the Cherokee were promised a seat in Congress. Watch your mouth. Okay, as we were, this article was written by Aaron Blakemore, October 5th, 2022, and the title: in 1835, the Cherokee were promised a seat in Congress. They're still waiting. They're still waiting. Tribal leaders have renewed calls for a place in the U.S. House of Representatives, a unique provision of the landmark Treaty of New Ekator. Here's how it came to be, okay? And then we kind of already read about it, okay? Early settlers clamor for Cherokee land, right? We've been reading about these things, okay? So, but the point being, what did he say? Right here, what did he say? They're still waiting. They're still waiting. It's terrible. Okay. Now, but instead, here's what they did to us. They sent Native Americans to Indian boarding schools. Okay. Can you start read for me, please?
American Indian boarding schools, also known more recently as American Indian residential schools, were established in the United States from the mid-17th to the early 20th centuries with the primary objective of civilizing or assimilating Native Americans.
Civilizing. Right?
That's right.
Your ways or savage. Our ways or civilized. Go on.
Children and youth into Anglo-American culture. In the process, these schools denigrated Native American culture and made children give up their languages and religion.
Made children give up their languages and religion. Two huge parts of cultural identity. Language and religion are two key factors of what constitutes culture, meaning identity, who I am, my self-worth, what I aspire to be, my purpose for living. Go on.
At the same time, the schools provided a basic Western education. These boarding schools were first established by Christian missionaries of various denominations.
You gotta watch out for the Christians. They come in there with Bibles in their hands. The devil the Bible speaks of. Go ahead.
The missionaries were often approved by the federal government to start both missions and schools on reservations, especially in the lightly populated areas of the West. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries especially, the government paid religious orders to provide basic education to Native American children on reservations, and later established its own schools on reservations. The Bureau of Indian Affairs, BIA, also founded additional off-reservation boarding schools based on the assimilation model. These sometimes drew children from a variety of tribes. In addition, religious orders established off-reservation schools.
Read this last paragraph.
Children were typically immersed in European American culture. Schools forced removal of indigenous cultures.
What did they say?
Forced
removal
of indigenous culture.
Signifiers. Thank
you. Cutting the children's hair, having them wear American style uniforms, forbidding them from speaking their mother tongue. Kente, tell me.
Right.
And replacing their tribal names with English names, saints' names under some religious orders, for use at the schools as part of assimilation and to Christianize them. The schools were usually harsh, especially for younger children who had been forcibly separated from their families and forced to abandon their Native American identities and cultures. Children sometimes died in the school system due to infectious diseases. Investigations of the later 20th century revealed cases of physical, emotional, and sexual abuse.
Mm. This is your American history. This is your American history. But then if you bring this out in schools, then they want to yell CRT, critical race theory.
That's crazy.
Right?
Is that made up?
What's that?
Critical race theory.
Yeah,
It's made up.
it's made up.
All right.
They don't exist. You know what I'm saying? For real, it don't. With that, yeah, it's crazy.
Let's go to the scriptures now.
Yes.
Go to Psalms chapter 83, verse 4.
Can you call that, please? Again?
Psalms chapter 83, verse 4. Read it for me, please.
The book of Psalms, chapter 84.
83, verse 4.
Sorry, 83 and verse 4. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation.
And how are you going to do that? You can't speak your own language anymore.
Really
Cut off your hair. We're going to change your religion, change your clothes. All the factors of culture got to change. Can't do it no more. Read on.
That the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance.
That the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. Okay. Go to Exodus chapter 1, verse 10.
The book of Exodus, chapter 1 and verse 10. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply.
Let's deal wisely with them. See, be gentle with them as you take them to the removal place. Be gentle with them. Deal wisely. Then they'll start to ask for food and clothing. Be gentle with them. Go on.
Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply and it come to pass that when there falleth out away, falleth out any war, they join also under our enemies and fight against us, and so get them out of the land.
Same thing that happened in the time of Exodus.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing that happened, what we just read concerning the removal of the Native Americans. Same thing. Okay. Go to Proverbs chapter 1, verse 12. Proverbs chapter 1, verse 12.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 1, and verse 12. Let us swallow them up alive as the grave, and whole as those that go down into the pit.
And whole as those that go down into the pit. And this is what this is how they're doing us yet this day. We're so defeated this day, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're the walking dead.
Mm-hmm.
Swallow them up alive as the grave. Native Americans on reservations drunk out their mind. Literally. Blacks so dysfunctional. This is what's going on. Okay. Go to Hebrews chapter 11, verse 9. Hebrews chapter 11, verse 9.
This is the book of Hebrews, chapter 11, and verse 9. By faith, he sojourned in the land of promise, as in a strange country, dwelling in tabernacles with Isaac and Jacob, the heirs with him of the same promise.
The heirs with him of the same promise, because Abraham was given a promise. Abraham was told a promise. Abraham traveled throughout the land of Canaan, which became the land of Israel. And he traveled with Isaac and Jacob, his son and grandson. And they're going about, and they're saying, hey, all this land is for us. God has promised all this land for us. Now, I know we have no stability right now. We live in tents right now, but this is for us. This was the promise. All this land is for us, was the promise. Okay. Go to Genesis chapter 17, verse 8.
The book of Genesis, chapter 17, and verse 8. And I will give unto thee and to thy seed after thee the land wherein thou art a stranger, all the land of Canaan, for an everlasting possession, and I will be their God.
And I will be their God. This is the promise. This is the promise that was given to our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, whose name was changed to Israel. Go to Genesis chapter 26, verse 3.
The book of Genesis, chapter 26, and verse 3. Sojourn in this land, and I will be with thee, and will bless thee, for unto thee and unto thy seed I will give all these countries, and I will perform the oath which I swear unto Abraham thy father.
Here's the promise. All I need you to do is obey me, says the Lord. Keep my laws, commandments, and statutes, says the Lord. All this land is yours. Because once the land is yours, you can then enter, after you get it set up and get it established, you can enter into a rest. You can enter into a rest. Okay? Go to Acts chapter 7, verse 5 and 6.
Book of Acts, chapter 7, and verse 5. And he gave him none inheritance in it, no, not so much as to sit his foot on, yet the promise that he would give it to him for a possession, and to his seed after him, when as yet he had no child. And God spake on this wise, that his seed should sojourn in a strange land, and that they should bring them into bondage, and entreat them evil for 100 years.
For 400 years. For 400 years. Okay? And so we went into captivity. And during the time period of Egypt, we went into captivity. And then we went into captivity in Egypt again, meaning this being Egypt, spiritual Egypt, Sodom and Egypt, this place right here. For 400 years. Our time is up. Our deliverance is at hand, is close at hand. Our deliverance is close at hand. Okay? Go to Hebrews chapter 11, verse 14.
The book of Hebrews, chapter 11, and verse 14. For they that say such things declare plainly that they seek a country.
The Native Americans, we seek a country. So-called African Americans, we seek a country. Especially so-called African Americans, we have nothing. Native Americans at least have reservations. We have nothing. Huh? We have nothing. Right. Keep keep reading. Verse 15. Yeah.
Hebrews 11:5.
Verse 15, you said?
Yes.
By faith.
And
And
truly,
truly, if they had been mindful of that country from whence they came out, they might have had opportunity to have returned.
if we had thought about all the horror that we lived through, you know what? We might have said, hey, we ain't gonna get in no trouble. We're gonna stay right here. So this is the time now. You better start thinking about it. Read verse 16.
But now they desire a better country, that is, an heavenly. Wherefore God is not ashamed to be called their God, for he had prepared for them a city.
Now, okay, so verse 14, for they that say such things declare plainly that they seek a country, right? Go to let's go to Hebrews chapter 13, verse 12 through 13.
This is the book of Hebrews, chapter 13, and verse 12. Wherefore Jesus also, that he might sanctify the people with his own blood, suffered without the gate.
Go ahead.
Let us go forth, therefore, unto him without the camp, bearing his reproach.
Go on.
For here have we no continuing city.
For here we have no continuing city. So even this is what they're saying in the time period of the writing of the book of Hebrews. We have no continuing city. Go on.
But we seek one to come.
But we seek one to come. Go on.
By him, therefore, let us offer the sacrifice of praise to God continue.
But because Christ, because of the promises, and we live according to the faith of Jesus Christ, we live according to the laws of the Most High God, because we live this way, because we believe those promises in the faith of Christ, what shall we do? Our sacrifice is praise to God. Read on.
That is the fruit of our lips giving thanks to his name.
Go on, one more.
But to do good and to communicate, forget not, for which such sacrifice God is well pleased.
For which such sacrifice. The fact that we are constantly giving thanks. We're not murmuring at this situation. We're not belly aching at this situation. We're giving thanks for the promises belonging to us. The promises promised to us. Okay? Go to Genesis chapter 32. We want verse 6 through 12.
The book of Genesis, chapter 32 and verse 6. And the messengers returned to Jacob, saying, we came to thy brother Esau, and also he cometh to meet thee, and 400 men with him. And Jacob was greatly afraid and distressed.
Then Jacob was greatly afraid and distressed, right? Why? Because of Esau. He knew Esau wanted to kill him. Go on.
And he divided the people that was with him, and the flocks and herds, and the camels into two bands, and said, if Esau come to the one company and smite it, then the other company which is left shall escape. And Jacob said, O God of my father Abraham, and God of my father Isaac, the Lord which saidest unto me, return unto the country, thy country, and to thy kindred, and I will deal well with thee.
So Jacob is praying, O God of my father Abraham, who told me to return to my country. Go on.
I am not worthy of the least of all the mercies and of all the truth, which thou hast showed unto thy servant. For with my staff I passed over this Jordan.
Go on.
And now I am become too bad. Deliver me, I pray thee, for the hand of my brother from the hand of Esau.
This is the prayer. Here's our prayer likewise. Deliver me from the hand of Esau. Who is Esau? Your friendly neighborhood white person. Your friendly neighborhood Caucasian. Go on.
For I fear him, lest he will come and smite me, and the mother with the children.
Go on.
And thou saidest, I will surely do thee good, and make thy seed as the sand of the sea, which cannot be numbered for multitude.
Right? So Jacob is reminding the Lord, hey, you said this, and you also said you will surely do thee good. Okay, so I'm moving as you informed me to, as you instructed me to. We gotta pray and move as the Lord has told us to. Okay, go to Luke chapter 12, verse 32.
This is the book of Luke, chapter 12, and verse 32. Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom.
It is your Father's good pleasure. Why are we in fear? We should be making every move, we need to be thinking about it. We need to be studying about it. We need to be making every necessary move and action to acquire the kingdom. Because look what Christ told us. Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. It belongs to us, to the children of Israel, to the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom, to you so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Go to Psalms 137, verse 5.
This is the book of Psalms 100 to 137.
137, verse 5.
137 and verse 5. If I forget thee, O Jerusalem, let my right hand forget her coming.
Right? If I forget thee, because we have forgotten our homeland. We have gotten comfortable right here. We get paid all these nice jobs with good benefits. Some of us, you know, you get these nice paying jobs. You get all these athletes making all these millions of dollars. And so what have we done? Not only have we forgotten the physical that we come from a physical geographical spot, we don't even do nothing for our people. Jerusalem is a people before it's a place.
That's right.
If I forget thee, O Jerusalem, talking about even my people, doing the work necessary for my people. Okay, go to Nehemiah. Nehemiah chapter 1, verse 2 through 4.
This is the book of Nehemiah, chapter 1 and verse 2. That Hanai, one of my brethren, came, he and certain men of Judah, and I asked them concerning the Jews that had escaped, which were left of the captivity, and concerning Jerusalem. And they said unto me, the remnant that are left of the captivity there in the province are in great affliction and reproach. The wall of Jerusalem also is broken down, and the gates thereof are burned with fire. And it came to pass, when I heard these words, that I sat down and wept and mourned certain days, and fasted and prayed before the God of heaven.
Those of us who understand this gospel truth, it should grieve you. And it should grieve you to a place where you are taking the necessary actions to do something about it. You should be where you're taking necessary actions to be a leader for the people, to move the people to a place where the book is informing us. Okay, go to Nehemiah chapter 2, verse 2 through 3.
It's the book of Nehemiah, chapter 2 and verse 2. Wherefore the king said unto me, why is thy countenance sad, seeing that thou art not sick? This is nothing else but sorrow of heart.
This is nothing else but sorrow of heart. Why are you sad? Go on.
Then I was very sore afraid.
I was afraid to tell the king who is of another nation, why my countenance has fallen. Go on.
And said unto the king, let the king live forever.
I gotta say some pleasantry to the king. I gotta butter him up. Go on.
Why should not my countenance be sad when the city, the place of my father's
sepulchres
lieth waste, and the gates thereof are consumed with fire?
He says, let the king live forever. But since you asked me this question, how can I be of a cheerful spirit when my people suffer? When my people suffer, this has to be the attitude of your Shaquille O'Neals and your Oprah Winfrey's and what have you. This has to be the attitude of all of us who understand what we're dealing with, who understand who we are. This has to be the attitude. Okay. Go to 1 Kings chapter 8, verse 29.
It's the book of 1 Kings, chapter 8, and verse 29. That thine eyes may be open toward the house night and day, even toward the place of which thou hast said, my name shall be there, that thou mayest hearken unto the prayer which thy servant shall make toward his place.
Toward this place. That the servant shall make toward this place. So here we are, those of us that know, those of us who have come into this understanding, where does our prayer need to be? Toward Jerusalem. Toward Jerusalem. Okay. Go to Nehemiah chapter 1, verse 6.
The book of Nehemiah, chapter 1 and verse 6. Let thine ear now be...
Give me a second. Go on, read.
The book of Nehemiah, chapter 1 and verse 6. Let thine ear now be attentive, and thine eyes open, that thou mayest hear the prayer of thy servant, which I pray before thee now, day and night, for the children of Israel, thy servants, and confess the sins of the children of Israel, which we have sinned against thee. Both I and my father's house have sinned.
Right? So we're not just, when we pray, what are we doing? We're acknowledging our fault, our own individual personal fault, but also the fault of our brothers and sisters, our fathers, aunts, and uncles. We're acknowledging all of that, hoping that the Lord will hear us. Okay? Go to Psalms chapter 34, verse 16.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 34 and verse 16. The face of the Lord is against them that do evil, to cut off the remembrance of them from the earth.
To cut off the remembrance of them from the earth. So when we are moving in righteousness and we pray facing Jerusalem, guess what? The Lord is going to hear our prayer. And the evil ones, he's going to cut them off. So our prayer for the evil to be cut off would not be a wrong prayer. Our prayer for the evil ones to be cut off will not be a wrong prayer. Okay? Go to 1 Kings chapter 8, verse 33.
It's the book of 1 Kings, chapter 8 and verse 33. When thy people Israel be smitten down before the enemy, because I have sinned against thee, and shall turn again to thee, and confess thy name, and pray, and make supplication unto thee in this house.
So why are we in this situation? Because we sinned against the Most High God.
That's right.
That's why we're in this condition. Because we sin, we as a nation, as a people, as a collective, not as an individual, as a collective. One person sinned, we all have sinned. Go to Leviticus. Leviticus chapter 26, verse 17.
It's the book of Leviticus, chapter 26 and verse 17. And I will set my face against you, and ye shall be slain before your enemies.
Who? The children of Israel. Go on.
They that hate you shall reign over you.
So who's ruling over us right now? They that hate you. Who's ruling over us right now? They that hate you. Go on.
And ye shall flee when none pursueth you.
And ye shall flee when none pursueth you. Meaning we're going to be of a scary, a scary heart, a fearful heart. Okay, go to Isaiah chapter 63. We want verse 15 through 19.
63, 15 through 19.
Yes, sir.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 63, and verse 15. Look down from heaven, and behold from the habitation of thy holiness and of thy glory. Where is the zeal and the
where is thy zeal?
Where is thy zeal and thy strength? The sounding of thy bowels and of thy mercies toward me. Are they restrained?
Are they restrained? Lord, are they restrained? Because I'm crying out. Read.
Doubtless thou art our father. Through Abraham.
Though Abraham
be ignorant of us, and Israel acknowledge us not. Though thou, O Lord, art our Father, our Redeemer, thy name is from everlasting.
Because by the time Jacob, whose name was changed to Israel, started having sons, Abraham was gone. So Abraham is ignorant of us. Go on.
O Lord, why hast thou made us to err from thy ways, and harden our heart from thy fear? Return from thy servant's sake, thy tribes of thine inheritance. The people of thy holiness have possessed it but a little while. Our adversaries have trodden down thy sanctuary.
Lord, we was in the land that you had given us only for a short while. And now, Lord, we have this heart that is hardened. Take it away from us, Lord. Give us a heart to desire to want to follow you and to want to do the things you have instructed us to do. Read on.
We are thine. Thou never bearest rule over them. They were not called by thy name.
These other people, they're not called by your name, Lord. We're the ones called by your name. Okay, go to Ezra. Chapter 9, verse 5 through 15.
It's the book of Ezra, chapter 9, verse 5.
5 through 15.
Yes, sir. And at the evening sacrifice, I rose up my heaviness.
From my heaviness.
From my heaviness, thank you. And having rent my garment and my mantle, I fell upon my knees and spread out my hands unto the Lord my God, and said, O my God, I am ashamed and blush to lift up my face to thee, my God.
There's that humbleness, the humility. I'm ashamed and blush to lift up my face to thee. We have to have some humility. Go on.
For our iniquities are increased over our head, and our trespass is grown up unto the heavens. Since thy days of our fathers have we been in a great trespass unto this day.
Since the days of our fathers, for a long time. Go on.
And for our iniquities have we our kings and our priests been delivered into the hand of the kings of the land, to the sword, to captivity, and to a spoil, and to confusions of face, as it is this day.
Right. We're confused. We don't know. And here in 2024, we don't know who we are. We okay. We're comfortable saying I'm Black. We're comfortable saying I'm African American. We're comfortable saying I'm just American. We're comfortable with saying I don't want to get off into all of that. Confusion of face. Read on.
And now for a little space, grace had been showed from the Lord our God, to leave us a remnant to escape, and to give us a nail in his holy place, that our God may lighten our eyes, and give us a little reviving in our bondage.
Right? Lighten our eyes. Give us understanding. Give us some hope, a glimmer of hope. Go on.
For we were bondmen, yet our God had not forsaken us in our bondage, but had extended mercy unto us in the sight of the kings of Persia, to give us a reviving, to set up the house of our God, and to repair the desolation thereof, and to give us a wall in Judah and in Jerusalem.
So this was in that time when we rebuilt the temple. This was in that time when we rebuilt the temple. We have to pray the same thing. Give us favor. Give us favor. Go on.
And now, O our God, what shall we say after this? For we have forsaken the commandments, thy commandments, which thou hast commanded by thy servant the prophets, saying, the land unto which ye go to possess it is an unclean land with filthiness of the people of the lands, with their abominations which have filled it from one end to the other with their uncleanness.
And just like then, it's unclean now.
That's right.
They have doggone gay parades in Jerusalem. Go on.
Now therefore give not your daughters unto their sons, neither take their daughters.
Here is instruction as part of repenting. Here is instruction as part of repenting. Read.
Let me read that from the top again. Now, therefore, give not your daughters unto their sons, neither take their daughters unto your sons.
Go on.
Nor seek their peace of their wealth forever.
Nor seek their peace or their wealth forever. Nor seek their peace nor their wealth forever, the Bible tells us. Stop going to get these educations and so on and so forth, only to continue their kingdom. Stop trying to appease them and please them in every which way imaginable. Being a part of their democracy. Go on.
That ye may be strong and eat the good of the land and leave it for an inheritance to your children forever. And after all
that you may leave it to your children forever. Why? So what are we supposed to do? What we're supposed to be trying to do is establish an inheritance that our children's children can benefit. So we have to be striving for the instruments that will empower our children to have an everlasting kingdom, an everlasting inheritance, that our children's children may eventually enter into God's rest, enter into Christ's rest. Read.
And after all that is come upon us for our evil deeds and for our great trespass, seeing that thou, our God, hast punished, seeing that thou, our God, hast punished us less than our iniquities deserve, and hast given us such deliverance as this. Should we again break thy commandments and join in affinity with the people of these abominations?
Should we fall in love with the people of the abominations? Love their Christmas, love their birthdays, love all their holidays? Should we love their wealth? Should we love their education system? Should we love their medical systems? Or should we work to have our own? Read.
Wouldst not thou be angry with us till thou hadst consumed us, so that there should be no more remnant nor escaping? O God, O Lord God of Israel, thou art righteous, for we remain yet escaped, as it is this day. Behold, we are before thee in our trespasses, for we cannot stand before thee because of this.
Because of this. Let just punishment come our way. Let us take the spanking you have for us. Let us repent. Let us do the things you are telling us to do, that we can get back in right fellowship.
That's right.
Okay, go to 1 Kings chapter 8, verse 38. 1 Kings chapter 8.
Book of 1 Kings chapter 8.
Give me a second. And verse 38.
And verse 38.
Hold on. Go on.
What prayer and supplication soever be made by any man, or by all thy people Israel, which shall know every man the plague of his own heart, and spread forth his hand toward his house.
Right? You're dealing with plagues. You got sickness. You got HIV. You have you lost your vision. You're dealing with hypertension. All manner of plague. COVID-19 took you out. All manner of different plagues, right? What did he say? Spread forth his hands toward this house, towards Jerusalem. Remember, Jerusalem is a people before it's a place. So where are the doctors and so forth among our own? Where are the healers among our own? Go to Philippians chapter 4, verse 6.
This is the book of Philippians, chapter 4.
Let me get there.
Yes, sir.
Read.
In verse 6, be careful for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known unto God.
So we want our own hospitals. We want our own medical centers. We want our own education facilities. We want our own grocery stores. We want our own banks. We want our own libraries. Let our requests be known unto God. And let us do the necessary work to get there. Okay, go to 1 Kings chapter 8, verse 48.
The book of 1 Kings, chapter 8, and verse 48. And so return unto thee with all their heart and with all their soul in the land of their enemies, which led them away captive, and pray unto thee toward their land, which thou givest unto their fathers.
Which thou gavest unto their fathers. Go on.
The city which thou hast chosen, and the house which I have built for thy name.
If we pray unto thee toward their land. Jerusalem is our land. Jerusalem is not the land of the Israelis.
That's right.
Jerusalem belongs to the blacks. To the blacks and Native Americans. Go to Psalms 119 and verse 2.
This is the book of Psalms 119 and verse 2. Blessed are they that keep his testimonies and that seek him with the whole heart.
With the whole heart. With the whole heart. That seek him with the whole heart. Jump down to verse 9 through 16.
Verse 9. Beth.
Wherewithal?
Wherewithal shall a young man cleanse his way?
Wherewithal shall a man cleanse his ways? How? How shall we be cleansed? You're telling me turn to the Lord with my whole heart. How? Read.
By taking heed thereto, according to thy word.
By taking heed to the word of God. Here you hear the word coming out. Take heed to the words. Read on.
With my whole heart have I sought thee.
Oh,
let me not wonder.
So in other words, with my whole heart have I sought thee, right? Bible says that a woman should not wear a dress. Well, with my whole heart, let me investigate this and let me do what this is saying. Bible says that a man cannot practice adultery. With my whole heart, let me not practice adultery. Bible says that a man can't take a woman belonging of another race. With my whole heart, let me investigate, maybe because I'm confused. I got some dimness in my mind on this particular point. So with my whole heart, let me investigate and study and do exactly what this is telling me to do. Read.
Oh, let me not wander from thy commandments.
Thy
word have I hid in mine heart. That I might not sin against thee.
Read.
Blessed art thou, O Lord. Teach me thy statutes.
Teach me thy statutes. Read on.
With my lips have I declared all thy judgments of thy youth.
Of thy mouth.
Of thy mouth.
Go on, go on.
I have rejoiced in the way of thy testimonies, as much as in the all riches.
So I'm going to rejoice in the way of thy testimonies. I'm not going to murmur about it, be disgruntled about it, have arguments about it. fissy fits about it. Read on.
I will meditate in thy precepts and have respect unto thy ways.
And have respect unto thy ways. You said keep the Sabbath day holy. I'm gonna keep the Sabbath day holy. You said don't cut off my beard. I'm not gonna cut off my beard. You said don't eat pork, don't eat catfish. I'm gonna have respect unto your ways. Read on.
I will delight myself in thy statutes.
Uh-huh.
I will not forget thy word.
I will not forget thy word. I will not forget thy word. Go down to 145 and 146. Same chapter. Go on.
145.
Mm-hmm.
I cried with my whole heart. Hear me, O Lord. I will keep thy statutes.
Why? Because the children of Israel, we don't even know who we are. The vast majority of us think that that white man over there in Israel bombing the Palestinians out of Gaza, that he is God's chosen people. Read on.
I cried unto thee, save me, and I shall keep thy testimonies.
And I shall keep thy testimonies. Save me, awaken me, illuminate my mind. Let me see the truth in your words. And I shall keep thy testimonies. Okay, go to 1 Kings chapter 8, verse 41.
It's the book of 1 Kings, chapter 8, and verse 41. Moreover, concerning a stranger that is not of thy people Israel, but cometh out of a far country for thy name's sake.
But cometh out. So now we're talking about the stranger. What about the stranger? What about the other people? Go to Isaiah chapter 56. Verse 3 through 7.
It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 56, and verse 3. Neither let thy son of the stranger that had joined himself to the Lord speak, saying.
Why? Hold on, just for context, right? In 1 Kings chapter 8, verse 41, and if the stranger should turn and pray, if the stranger, okay, go on.
Neither let the son of the stranger that had joined himself to the Lord speak, saying, the Lord hath utterly separated me from his people. Neither let the eunuch say, behold, am I a dry tree?
Why? Because I can't produce any children. So what inheritance is there for me? I'm going to be erased. That's the thought of the eunuch as to why the eunuch would say, am I a dry tree? I have no fruit to produce, no offspring. Read on.
For thus said the Lord unto the eunuchs, that keep my Sabbaths and choose the things that please me, and take hold of my covenant. Even unto them will I give in mine house and within my walls a place and a name better than the sons of daughters.
And of daughters. Go on.
Sorry. And I will give them an everlasting name that shall not be cut off.
I will give them an everlasting name, right? Who are these strangers? Pause. Go to First Peter's chapter 1, verse 1. Read.
It's the book of 1 Peter, chapter 1, and verse 1. Peter, an apostle of Jesus, apostle of Jesus Christ, to the strangers scattered throughout Pontus, Galatia, Cappadocia, Asia,
And Bithynia.
and Bithynia,
Uh-huh.
elect according to the foreknowledge of God the Father throughout sanctifications of the Spirit unto obedience and sprinkling of the blood of Jesus Christ.
So who are we talking about? We're talking about Israelites who had lost their identity. Israelites who had lost their identity. Go back to Isaiah. Continue up with Isaiah, verse 5. Isaiah chapter 56, verse 5.
It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 56, and verse 5.
Okay, go on.
6 and 5.
Start at verse 4 again.
Verse 4. For thus saith the Lord unto the eunuchs that keep my Sabbaths, and choose the things that please me, and take hold of my covenant.
That keep my Sabbath. Go on.
Even unto them will I give in mine house, and with my walls a place and a name better than of sons and of daughters.
Read.
I will give them an everlasting name that shall not be cut off. And the sons of the strangers that join themselves to the Lord to serve him and to love the name of the Lord, to be his servants, every one that keepeth the Sabbaths from polluting it, and taketh hold of my covenant.
Everyone that keepeth the Sabbath from polluting it. Right? Read on.
Even them will I bring to my holy mountain, and make them joyful in my house of prayer. Their burnt offerings and their sacrifices shall be accepted upon mine altar. For mine house shall be called an house of prayer.
What's heavy about verse 6 is that you got some folk who believe all that they have to do is have faith. You have some folks who believe all that they have to do is to have faith. When we're reading constantly. Faith without works is dead. You must have faith, and you must practice the keeping of the laws. Both things are required. Okay, go to Matthew chapter 8. Verse 10 through 11.
It's the book of Matthew, chapter 8, and verse 10. When Jesus heard it, he marveled and said to them that followed, Verily, I say unto you, I have not found so great faith, no, not in Israel. And I say unto you, that many shall come from the east and west, and shall sit down with Abraham and Isaac and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven.
In the kingdom of heaven. Many people are going to come. A lot of strangers are going to come. Okay? But they're going to come and sit down with Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. What does that mean? What Abraham taught, what Isaac continued, what Jacob continued, they're going to follow in the steps. They're going to follow in the steps. Okay? Now, let's turn our attention to this. Here is Jared Kushner. All praises, Elder alerted me to this.
Gaza's waterfront property. It can be very valuable to if people would focus on kind of building up, livelihood. So I think that it's a little bit of an unfortunate situation there, but I think from Israel's perspective, I would do my best to move the people out and then clean it up. I think proactively recognizing a Palestinian state would essentially be rewarding an act of terror.
I mean,
Gaza's waterfront property, it can be very valuable to if people would focus on kind of building up livelihood. So I think that it's a little bit of an unfortunate situation there, but I think from Israel's perspective, I would do my best to move the people out and then clean it up. I think proactively recognizing a Palestinian state would essentially be rewarding an act of terror.
I mean, aren't we at all surprised?
He says Gaza would be a great waterfront property. Great waterfront property. So here we're talking about, earlier we said they are ethnic cleansing. Now, that's what we spoke about with Native Americans. Same thing, same thing, same thing. No problem though, not a problem, not a problem. Go to Joel chapter 3, verse 2.
Book of Joel, chapter 3, verse 2. I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people.
I'm going to destroy them there for my people. Go on.
And for my heritage, Israel.
Go on.
Whom they have scattered among the nations, and parted my land.
They have parted my land. Land doesn't belong to them. He looking to make it, oh yeah, great waterfront property. Land doesn't belong to you. Go to Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 8.
The book of Zephaniah, chapter 3, and verse 8. Therefore wait ye upon me, said the Lord, until the day that I rise up to the prey. For my determination is to gather the nations, that I may assemble the kingdoms, to pour upon them my indignation, even all my fierce anger, for all the earth shall be devoured with the fire of my jealousy.
With the fire of my jealousy. World War III is coming. Whether you like it or not, it's coming. And all those ICBMs and so on and so, all those nuclear bombs are going to take place. All of it's going to happen. It is a necessary, how did I just say it? It's a necessary devastation.
Yeah.
It is a necessary devastation. Okay, go to Revelation chapter 20, verse 8.
Revelation chapter 20, verse 8.
Yes.
This is the book of Revelation, chapter 20, and verse 8. And shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four corners of the earth, Gog and Magog.
So now Gog and Magog is Russia, according to they said. So I've read that it's not conclusive, but I've seen other Israelite teachers who bring forth information that make it that make the point that it is conclusive. Okay, that Gog and Magog is Russia and Ukraine. Go on.
And shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea.
Okay, a lot of people gonna go out and battle and lose their life. And go to Ezekiel chapter 35. Start at verse 2.
Okay. Sorry, let me say Ezekiel chapter 5 and verse
chapter 35.
It's the book of Ezekiel, chapter 35, and verse 2. Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir.
Mount Seir is Esau. Mount Seir is Caucasian. Go on.
And prophesy against it, and say unto it, thus saith the Lord God, behold, O Mount Seir, I am against thee, and I will stretch out my hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate. I will lay thy cities waste, and thou shalt be desolate, and thou shalt know that I am the Lord, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred. Read that again. Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end.
You had an ongoing hatred, never ceasing hatred. Verse 6.
Therefore, as I live, said the Lord God, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Since thou hast
not hated blood, it's supposed to be since.
Okay. Since thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. Thus will I make Mount Seir most desolate, and cut off from it him that passeth out, and him that returneth.
Okay, now jump down to verse 10.
It's verse 10. Because thou hast said, these two nations and these two countries shall be mine, and we will possess it, whereas the Lord was there.
So these two nations, these two countries, is talking about the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. These two countries is talking about the Americas and Jerusalem. Take a look at this. Teddy Roosevelt and people he subjugated, African Americans and Native Americans. These two nations, Southern Kingdom, Northern Kingdom of Israel. So here he is. He's sitting on a horse. The Native American has his rifle in his hand. And here the African, the Negro. Thank you. Right? Two nations that he has subjugated. This is Mount Seir. This is Esau, Edom. This is the northern kingdom. This is the southern kingdom. Go back. Verse 11.
Ezekiel chapter 35 and verse 11. Therefore, as I live, said the Lord God, I will even do according to thine anger, and according to thine envy, with which thou hast used out of thy hatred against them. And I will make myself known among them when I have judged thee.
When this man is judged, oh, we gonna know God did it. Read on.
Verse 12. And thou shalt know that I am the Lord, and that I have heard all thy blasphemies, which thou hast spoken against the mountains of Israel, saying, they are laid desolate, they are given us to consume.
Read on. They are given us to consume. They're giving us to consume. They're going to be our slaves. Read.
Thus with your mouth ye have boasted against me, and have multiplied your words against me.
Mm.
I have heard them.
Right? In doing this, in the way you have behaved, you're speaking against me, the Most High God. Read on.
Thus said the Lord God, when the whole earth rejoiceth, I will make thee desolate.
Uh-huh.
As thou didst rejoice at the inheritance of the house of Israel, because it was desolate, so will I do unto thee. Thou shalt be desolate, O Mount Seir, and all Idumea, even all of it, and they shall know that I am the Lord.
He says, O Mount Seir and all Idumea, even all of it. So the white man, all of it, I'm going to destroy. Go ahead, Elder.
Going back to verse 12.
You about to ask a question?
Yeah.
Can we wait?
Okay. Do that for later.
All right. All right. So with that, we say shalom, Most High in Christ bless. Until we meet again next time. All right. Lord, may the Lord be with you.